So we're about to get started in about 2 minutes, probably less. Excited for this session. Excited. We got a lot to talk about today. Man, let's get started, man. This is Master Pyro tapping in on Levels of Mastery. What a beautiful day it is today to be streaming on IMCTV on Levels of Mastery. Yo, I'm just grateful. So we're about to get started into some real insightful things because I'm going to be going a lot about a little bit of history of myself, more about who I am, because I'm going to be streaming this every Tuesday, moving forward at this time. 5:30, 6 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Pacific Standard Time, somewhere around there, right? And I want to make sure that as we are building the stepping stones to this mastermind that I've come across and that I'm developing in my practice through the IMC AZD teachings, is going to be so essential for me to make sure that my information and my state of mind is getting across exactly as the best I can get in across, because we all know how much of a bridge that is to work on our communication. And this is just another exercise of me exercising my communication at a high level, right? Because it's not easy to get across ideas and concepts at a very deep level across a wide stream of personalities and backgrounds and experiences that's been out there. And not only that, to do it in a way where it's insightful, where when the individual walks away, they have a deeper insight, a more awareness, not only in their external world, but in their internal world. And that's where I've discovered the kingdom of heaven, if you will, within myself, right? This is where I decide to go deep into my practices to make sure that I keep on tapping in on what that is, all right? So today, right now, it's live right now, we have the Prophet. Shout out to you, the Prophet. Man, it's a pleasure for anybody on here to be able to meet this man right here, because the power of his words and his experience is enough to shift your whole reality. All right. We have Octavio online as well. The individual and the creative director of the Illuminated Ones, which is a brand coming out, which is phenomenal. And then we have Zay Zimba, which is on right now, another Base 5 resident, as well as Prophet, as well as myself, is tapping in online as well. He is another level of a mastermind that is integrated into this culture that we have called IMC Nation. So salute to you, brothers, for showing up, and to everybody else that's catching this live or this pre-recording. I just wish you was here to ask me questions when I give a moment of time to ask questions. If not, I'm glad you're here to tap in and get the state of mind that I've been able to acquire from AZD, the motherfucking legend. And I've been blessed to be able to do so much work with him that I myself have been experiencing life on a whole new realm. And that's what I'm here to share about. So first, before we even get into that, there's something very important before you even get started on things. And that's going to be the core element of what I'm talking about today and what I'm going over, right? This is my experience. This is, it's not necessarily me teaching anything. This is me reflecting my experiences and my practice of being a master. See, look, when you show up to Levels of Mastery, I automatically assume that you are doing your best to make sure that you tap into the highest form of your potential by mastering not only, things that you think you need to work on, but things that are not aware to you currently that you will need to work on. And can everybody hear me good before I keep going? I want to make sure my audio is okay. My audio is good. Okay, perfect. So, and being able to master that and what does that even mean? Now, we throw these words out, we throw these languages out, these symbols, but to a degree, we've forgotten the definition of what that means. And what definition means is to define something, to bring it into what the actuality of it is. So what I did was, we're going to go ahead and break down these things and start to define things. See, before you begin to walk on the path that you want to create, you got to begin to define it first. So you got to have languages that you have a lot of confidence behind, because you have the definition of what those things are. It's not vague words. It's not words of uncertainty. These are words of exact intention. Smooth. So let's get into where we at here. Where we at? I want to share. First, we're going to start with the meaning of definition. Makes sense, right? Before we start defining shit, let's find out what even definition even means. It says definition, the degree to which something can be clearly seen or heard. So let's take note of this. The definition is something to be clearly seen and heard. All right. Let's see here. A statement of exact meaning of a word. The degree of this distinctness and outline of an object, which is referring to image or sound, right? The definition of a sound, a definition of an image, is the degree of the distinction of the outline of that object. Oh man, we're gonna tap in today. Check me out. We about to bring them to church today. Especially on an image, in the photograph, or on the screen. All right, so check me out. Look how we're gonna tap in just off of the definition of definition. Watch how we're about to vibrate we're about to string a new chord of vibration just off of this alone, right? By the degree of distinction of an outline of an object. So when you start to think of something, of an idea, or what it is to be a master of yourself, you have to have a certain degree of a distinction of what that image looks like. So when you ask somebody, when they say they want to do something, the proper thing is say, what does it look like? What does it sound like? Why? Because to that degree is the distinction of the clarity of what that even looks like, or what that even could be representation of in reality. So we're going to put a pin on that. So you have to start to, you don't have to start doing anything, but when you're on the path of creating something that is very particular and building a certain bridge, there are steps that are necessary to build there. You can't miss certain steps or levels to get there. And like I said, before I get into the definition, all that, I assume everybody here is on the path to mastery. So I'm going to treat you as such. I'm going to ordain you as that. And I'm going to speak to you as somebody that is masterminding on a concept within themselves to push the best of their potential, right? So for myself, you can come up with any name, but the name of something is the nature of something. I believe that. And that's something that we can look up as well. The name of something is the nature of something. So a lion, the name of a lion is because it's the nature of a lion. It does what it do. It does what it do. It do what it does. You feel me? And so when I reflected, when I first started off on my path of wanting to seek this next level of my evolution, I was like, man, the name that I'm carrying, I don't like the nature of how I'm moving. I don't like the nature of who I am and how I'm speaking, because it's not who, it's just not what I'm capable of doing. I'm capable of way more. That was with my given name, right? Which was like a given experience. Was it a given identity? So I myself reconstructed myself by giving myself a new name. Therefore, I operated in a new nature. You see that? So I bestowed on myself the name of master. Why? Because of the quality of lifestyle, the mentality of what that symbol represents. I want to embody that, right? So we're going to look up. The reason why we're going to look this up, because we need to define it. We need to make sure we understand what are we speaking on, what are we vibrating on, so there's no gaps in this, okay? So a master, a man in charge of an organization or a group, right? We have like master yogis, we got like master martial artists, we have master director, we have different elements, right? When you're on a high level of an organization or a group. Also says having or showing very great skill or prophecy. All right, these things to highlight. Also, acquire, as a verb, acquire complete knowledge or skill in a technique, an art, etc. Perfect. So now we know what a master is and why we're here, because we are building the levels of our mastery and acquiring a level, a skill or knowledge and our technique in our art. An art of what? As a basis, an art of living. What is our techniques that we are using? This is where I began to acquire the understandings of what I learned from my mentor AZD, social dynamics, male and female dynamics, right? Knowing how to network and display your value, exchange your value, knowing what it even means to exchange value properly, how to communicate. These are skills. So these are skills that I've used in my toolbox of mastery. And I mastered these skills. And just like if I was to have a sword, nunchucks, right? Stick, or just a technique of fighting, elbows, things of that nature, right? So then I began, so with that, I started to define myself. I started to define words and what this means and what that carries, because these words carry energy, right? Like, I didn't wait for somebody to, like, you have to qualify yourself before you seek out qualification out in the world. That's how I began to take over my own world, which is, you know what? I'm going to give myself things that nobody else can give me, because I'm in this practice within myself. And that's what we're going to break into right now. So my name is Master Pyro, right? Pyro is a symbol for fire. Somebody that can manipulate fire, that can control fire. And that is a whole nother analogy and power within itself that we will get into as the levels of mastery begin to go on each level. So the first thing is, my name is Master Pyro. Pyro stands for perceiving your righteous outcome. So every time you say pyro, you're not saying just pyro, but yes, the flame element is ignited because of the symbol, but those words ring out every time you say Pyro. So you are pushing out perceiving your righteous outcome. What does that even mean? Am I just saying things, or are these symbols and words are hitting a certain frequency in the ether? Let's find out. What is the meaning of perceive or perception? Remember, master, and then each word I'm going to say master, perception, master, yours, master, your righteousness, master, your outcome. And we're going to break it down so we can see why this is so important to build your own foundation in towards what you're going before you even go anywhere. Like, this is before I even started ingraining myself or integrating myself into things that I want to learn, because you have to have a solid structure. Because what's going to happen is, as you start moving along in the path of learning what you're learning, best believe life is going to test you. It's going to knock you off your pivot foot. It's going to knock you on the ground. It's going to knock the wind out of you. It's going to make you bleed. It's going to make you want to cry for whatever the fuck. It knows exactly how to trigger you and how to make you break just that little bit, where it makes you think about, is this worth doing or not? And this is where having the foundation of knowing the definition, the clarity of image and sound in your mind, you can defeat anything that tries to infiltrate, because it's so defined to a high degree. Remember, it's at the degree of the definition of the image. Okay. Perceive right here. I had the screenshots, but for some reason I don't know. So we're going to just go ahead and retype it in. Pops up pretty quick. Here we go. Perceive. Become aware or conscious of something. Come to realize or to understand. Number 2, interpret it or look on in a particular way. Regard as. So to perceive something is to become aware or conscious of something, or come to realize or understand something. So when me being a master, I'm mastering what I perceive. As I'm perceiving, I'm mastering how I'm consciously becoming aware of something. I'm consciously being aware on how I realize my new understanding. It is something to master because it is a skill. As a master, it is a skill. So what is yours? Is ownership. Yours definition. To refer to something, refer to a thing or things belonging to or associated with a person. So what is your perception of you? What is your perception of your life? How are you reflecting and perceiving yourself? And not only as in a past way of looking, but in a futuristic way of looking. And when you perceive your future outcome, which you want, you have to own it. It is yours. You have to own it. Stop second guessing yourself and whether you are, it is a, like as if it's something for you to play with. Like what's yours is yours. What is not yours, you can never have. Like you really got to get that. And life is here to help you move forward in evolution. It's giving us the games and the instruments to use to do it, but you have to fucking use it. Okay, righteous. So what's the meaning of righteous? All right, we're breaking all these things down, and then I'm going to go straight into it after that. That's why I want to go a little early, because there's different things I want to make sure I come across. All right, so righteousness of a person or conduct that's morally right or justifiable. Very good or excellent. So what are you perceiving that is yours that is very good or excellent for you? Like, forget about everything else that's going on. Because see, when you ask about, well, what you want to do, it's like the first thing they say when they ask them what they want to do, they start speaking on the limitations that's holding them back. That is like the forefront of their focus that they're putting their energy onto. Instead of telling me what is righteous for them, what is right for you? For myself, what's right for me is to become the highest level creator I can possibly be in this lifetime. The highest level, whatever that means, whatever that is. I don't know what that was. And lo and behold, a camera fell in my hand, and that told me everything I need to know about what the direction I needed to go. And this is how I applied it myself. This is why I'm the greatest director, cameraman, videographer, content creator that is living, because I practice and I master this every single day. And in my world, it holds true because I know nobody is being as disciplined as I am to acquire the level of skill that I'm showcasing. Whether people see it or not, it doesn't slow down the evolution timeline that I'm on when I'm following exact code to build on. When other people can't see your evolution or your growth and what you're perceiving for you when it's righteous, that is a flaw in their ability to see a truth in what you're and how you're behaving. When you're really on code with yourself, with your process, which is we're going to get into a little bit as I clear this up. All right. Last thing is outcome. PYRO, perceiving your righteous. And now we have outcome. Let's check out outcome real quick. Here we go. The way things turn out, a consequence. What is the consequence of what you're mastering, of what you're perceiving, what you're claiming is yours, and what you see is righteous for you? Like, these things have to be answered to some degree, whether it's now or when you're in the midst of some shit. These questions have to be answered to some degree. And this is how I'm able to just bulldoze through any challenge that faces me. I didn't even get into Amor Fati. I didn't even get into Seize the Day. I didn't even get into Momentum Mori yet, which we're going to briefly touch on. I'm going to save all these powerful things for as Levels of Mastery unfolds. But I have to share it as they come about. You know, this is part of the talk, if you will. So perceiving your righteous outcome, to be able to perceive something, to have a precise image of what you want, claiming what's yours, knowing what's yours, knowing that your state of mind is yours, your responsibility, knowing what you are capable of doing is your responsibility of achieving. What is righteous for you? What does it look like? What is deemed excellent for you? And what is the outcome? What is the consequence of the actions that you are going to commit yourself to get that outcome? So those consequences it's just going to happen. It's just the law of the universe. It's the 7 laws. What you put in is what you're going to get out. It's the consequences of your actions and reactions. Now, this is something that I took a time to break down. And yes, for me, this is what it takes for me to hack my system. I'm aware that I am a conscious awareness somewhere in here, aware of this human experience that is a system that is operating in a way that I have to continuously dissect and integrate and be able to control at the highest level I can. So these are tools that I use to hack that and become more powerful. And I'm sharing them along because shit, I assume if you're having the same human experience I am, that you're doing your best to save yourself, because we're aware that nobody's coming to save us. And you know what's the trippy part about that is that even though we know that we are, that we have to save ourselves, and it's only going to take ourselves to save that being inside us, is that we can't do it alone. That's the trippy part that gets me every time. I'm like, man, I literally have to save myself because nobody's going to do it, but I can't do it by myself. And what does that even mean? What's that other part right there? I can't do it by myself. I have to have other individuals that is vibrating at the same frequency of reaching a potential so they can hold me accountable to that reach that I'm looking for. Because on your own is only so long. It's only so long that you're going to be able to reach that height with crabs in the bucket around you. Man, it doesn't take long to figure that out. In any business, it doesn't matter. You could probably be like fucking 12, 15, 17 years old. It don't take you much to figure out that this world is like a crabs in the bucket when you're trying to reach out and be something great. And other people are like, because they can't see within themselves that height of greatness, they have to chop you down to some degree. And this is something that we have to figure out on how can we shift this reality that we're just finding ourselves around. And this is what I've used to level myself up in my mastery. So this is something that you can use in the sense of maybe you don't want to change your name. That's cool. You don't have to. Shit. This is what I did. Well, what you can do is you can give your name a new definition. You don't have to accept the definition that they told you. You don't have to accept the reality they told you have to do. I know we hear that a lot, but fuck, hear it from somebody that has embodied this thing and has used this energy that I have embodied to share their experience of what I'm talking about. Because it's more than just a book that I've read. I can give you a lot of resources and things of that nature, but what good is it if you're not hearing it from a certain place within somebody that lives this shit every day? So off of all that, I've been able to build something that was way out of what I thought was real, which is owning my own company. And this is where we are today. The beautiful thing is that the moment AZD, my mentor, mentioned, this is back in what, 2021, I believe, when he started telling everybody to go live and start streaming. I have about over 2 years of streaming, right? I have 2 products with AZD where he features an hour long in my live sessions. I have Morning Mastery on Instagram. So every morning you can tap in with me on IG, via IG, on Morning Mastery, talking about a morning process, right? That's probably going to be a little bit wild on Levels of Mastery because I want to give a foundation before I get into a process, because that's supercharged of information, right? So how I want to go about it is, now that I gave you the definition of my name and who I am and what I kind of stand for to the degree I can share in this limited time that we have, this is going to help give you a deep insight on what are you tapping into on Levels of Mastery. Is it just to hear Master Pyro talk about, only about models or only about the image you see on Instagram? Now, listen, what you see me do on Instagram is called a flex. And what does that mean by that? It's showing, like, I don't have to be doing any of that shit. Like, I make money on other things, but because of my skills of social dynamics, because of my skills of male and female dynamics, that is me displaying the art of living through the dynamics I've learned through my teacher, AZD Arashapar Dibazar, working with models, working with companies, being a brand ambassador, basically learning how to learn your value through communication and go into your environment, go into your community, and they seek you out because of your value. And that's what I express on my Instagram. And my goal is to, in the future episodes and future levels that I have on Levels of Mastery, I will be bringing some of the models on Levels of Mastery, because you guys have to see the dynamic I am with my model, because it's not like I'm paying these models to do this. It's not like I'm paying them to do this and behave like that and behave like that. No, we have an exchange like I do with everything in this world, but nothing is forced or nothing is constricted for them to do this and do that. And there is a display on how that looks like. And I'm aware that I'm doing it in my life. So I want to display at the level that I'm doing it and me growing through it. So that's another level of mastery, learning that how can you challenge yourself in the things you're trying to grow in? Because see, we start to get comfortable in what we learn. Like, let's just say it was very difficult for you to fucking curl, 25 pounds. Like it was just difficult to do like 10 of them joints. And then now you're doing 10 of them joints, but you're not trying to do 12. You're just trying to stay at 10. But then it's like, bro, then what's the point? Either get a bigger weight or try to push 12 or 15 out them joints. And it's like, that's the mindset that I have when it comes to Levels of Mastery, which is, this is my gym. And I want it to be a gym for everybody that's coming in on this platform to also communicate what they're getting from these lives, so we can expand on these ideas and mastermind, because I'm as great as I am because of the mastermind group that I've tapped into. Yes, I'm very aware that I have a strong mental ability, if you will, in learning and developing the skill sets and what I've been able to acquire through my teachings from AZD. However, I'm always aware that there's a new fucking level. I know that I have to learn how to let go of where I am now to receive the next level. That it's like these different things that you learn in your mastery, and that's what I want to bring awareness to. And it doesn't have to be particular to what I'm doing, because it could be substituted in anything you're doing, speaking, working as an entrepreneur, creating your business, whatever it may be. It's the same thing, your health, your relationships, and we're going to be speaking on that. So I will be bringing females on the show because that's a different dynamic to look at, right? And I'm probably going to bring one by next week, maybe more than one, because that is how you truly test your character, is around other individuals. Yes, this is one level of expression. Me speaking into a live camera with an audience there with no feedback, that's one kind of level of expression. Some with feedback is another level of expression. Doing that in front of a crew of people plus two other individuals that's never done what they're able to do is another dynamic that you have to learn how to maneuver around. And it's only been so many people that has seen me operate in the field, which to me is exciting for those that haven't seen me do that, because they're only aware of what they're aware of. And that's what I want you guys to understand as a master. Remember, because we are dominating our skill set in our life to master what it is that we want, we have to realize that the average individual is nowhere near the fucking door of mastery. Like, they don't even know where to look at to even get to the door. You got to remember that we are levels above other individuals. Just even being in this session, in this class right now, you've already entered into the door of mastery, for sure. Because of the type of mastermind group I'm associated with, which is IMC Nation. We just got brother Powerhouse that just tapped in with me on Levels of Mastery. Salute to you, the motherfucking Kusei. Man, I appreciate you on so many levels, brother, because you have a huge contribution to the movement. And as motherfuckers like you, that helps me stay accountable in what I want to do in this level of stuff like this. So salute to you, brother. And this is what it's about. Once again, like everybody needs to know, it's about that level of mastery where you're around other masters that you can tilt your hat to, right? And you can say, brother, you are that in my world, you know what I'm saying? As I introduce all the brothers here online. So, but to go back to my point is that you got to remember that other individuals don't even know what mastery looks like. So this is why one thing that I learned, and I got this from it's from one of the products that with AZD. I think it was Picture Perfect Mindset. And in that lecture, he said something. He said, when you are basically amongst these lines, I'm not saying verbatim, but amongst these lines, he said, you want to speak to those that's in the initiated. And what does that mean? Those that are aware of the level that you're communicating from. So as you're gaining this new information, it's best to keep circulating this information with those that can comprehend this information. Now, unless they are seeking out that bridge or seeking out that helping hand to understand, then that's where you extend yourself as a master and say, okay, let me show you, let me help you, let me guide you, let me X, Y, and Z. Because if not, that's when you fall into the frame of you're throwing your pearls to swine. You're just throwing them out and they're just going to just shit on it. You're just going to shit on it, which does something to your power, does something to your knowingness, something to your certainty to a degree. Not saying it's detrimental, but it does an effect when you waste your time with people that don't want to seek this out. And I've always rolled over people like that in my life. And I love the challenge of it. And this is what another point this is one point that I'm going to close out so I could open up for dialogue a little bit before I close it out completely. But as a master, we are ready to be challenged in our mastery. I see myself like a samurai that keeps his hand on his sword, knowing that the moment I'm tested of my degree of mastery, once I pull my sword, they're never going to forget how sharp I really am. And that is the mentality behind mastery. Always be ready to show your level of mastery. Because there is no apology behind that. Because guess what? If the shoe was another foot, they would not compromise themselves to show you their level of mastery. The thing is that we are steps ahead on our mastery because of our mentor, because who we learned from. That is at a level that I'm still seeking, and hopefully in this lifetime being able to achieve. And that's why I embody the saying, keep your stay down till you come up. Keep working on yourself until it gets there. And that's something that I see for myself. Okay, so before I close it out and just give the final word of the night and updates and things of that nature, is there any questions or any insights or any comments that we'd like to tap in with to give everybody some insights and opportunity for those that show up? Those that show up have this opportunity for me to have some dialogue with them. If not, I'll go ahead and move forward on to my next topic. Just want to give it about a minute. All right. Smooth.
Yes, sir. I'll tap in real quick. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Smooth.
Myself, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, it's an honor to be here in the levels of mastery. I'm looking forward to the consistent evolution and creative production of working with director Master Pyro. For people that don't know the extent of what it is that you do, can you just explain to them the levels of impact that you've had on the world thus far? Working with artists across the world, and of course very high level models, and one of the master teachers on this planet, which is AZD. So I just having that level of exposure, can you give people a glimpse into your world in the sense of what it is that you are looking to impact and I guess inspire people to do on a level as well.
Yes, sir. Man, that's so beautiful that you said that, because I've worked so hard for what you just said, which is be so great in what you do that other individual has to speak for your accomplishments and what you do, because you're so humble that it's just necessary for it to be done. And as you guys notice, I didn't start off on speaking on my credentials and all that, because yes, that is a point and all that, but I don't want the wrong judgment off of it. But now is the perfect time to go into, because that was going to be my closing part, was my credentials. So yeah, I would definitely go into it. First and foremost, my most prized project or prized ability in doing what I'm doing is to be a videographer and a content creator in IMC Nation, first and foremost. So I've been skilled enough where the one and only AZD was willing to use my art to help him put out whatever projects that he wanted to do all of 2022 and 2020, well, since 2020, 2021, 2022. And so that is if I had belts or if I had like medals or something like that, yeah, exactly. If I had medals of my accomplishment, that will be the highest one. The fact that I got to work with AZD, it just takes it all, 100%. So not only have I been blessed to work with him, I've created every single all of the Millionaires Club's videos. I was the one that shot and directed all the videos. I shot the Models and Bottles video. I've shot the all the music video that's been up to date. And so that is where I come from in that. Outside of IMC Nation, and of course, I worked with plenty of the brothers here in IMC Nation as well. I've been able to work with Aaron Carter before he passed away, so I'm part of his timeline. I shot Aaron Carter's very last music video that he shot, and I'm in connection of his upcoming artists that he signed before he passed. I was able to create with Moneybagg Yo at the Super Bowl in Tampa, Florida. I've been able to create with high-level models. I've been able to create, be published in magazines. The list goes on in that nature. I've been able to work with so many brands. Like literally today, I got a call to work with a dispensary, a big well, hi, it's funny, right? A big dispensary in Phoenix, Arizona that hit me up today to create some content. So another brand. So my value has been able to attract this kind of reality, if you will. So these are some points. I didn't really go into all of it because the real excitement or the real prize possession for me is working with AZD and creating content for him and with him. So to check all that out, most of that's on YouTube, and if not on my Instagram, you guys can check that out. And outside of that, I've been vlogging for 4 years, have countless content all over YouTube on my evolution. Like I still have the first video of when I was first inspired to get to where I am today, which is to speak about my process and to evolve as an individual and be an example of living the life that you truly want. Because that's what I'm doing. Like, you guys gotta understand, like, I was in the military, I was in college, I dropped out the college, I didn't continue in the military, I was working a 9 to 5, I was doing landscaping, I worked in the hospital, I did the whole 9, I did whatever it took for me to get to where I am today, which is I'm now have my own model agency, I have models underneath my wing, I shoot music videos, I kick it with whoever I want to kick it with. I just came from a dispensary that's going to sponsor me as a brand ambassador. Like I can go anywhere and become that. And I've done that from becoming a character that I've embodied through the teaching of AZD, Arash Sapar Bazar of IMC Nation. And that's why I give all of my credentials to that, because that's where it comes from. Now, it does take me to apply it at the degree that I'm applying it. And that's why I want to be an example and be transparent so everybody can learn from that. So thank you so much, brother, for that question and that comment and letting me go into that a little bit, because I think it's essential to know, who's speaking, right? It's important to know who's speaking and who's applying what to the degree that they're applying it, because it's like anybody could say anything, but how many people's experience is that every day? Like truly, I had a meeting with a model today, man. It's still under discretion, so I'm not going to show who it was in the group that I have so far. But follow my Instagram, you will see the models that I'm creating and the structure that I'm creating as for the models. It's like nobody have seen before. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you. Like tapping into your intelligence. Like there is times that we forget that we are intelligent beings, that we are the most intelligent walking beings on the planet. Like there's moments that we literally forget that. We get so degraded through our issues and challenges through our life and through our day that we take away our own power by forgetting that we have intelligence to tap into. And that's what I'm doing to the best of my abilities, if anything, you know what I'm saying? So any questions, any more insights? Thank you so much. That's Master Myself, JD, for asking that. Thank you so much. If anybody has any more questions or insights or anything like that, or anything that you'd like to share, feel free to do so. I got about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes before I close out. All right, smooth. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this last piece, man. So what did we cover today? Today we covered the definitions. We started to define language and symbols. That was the beginning of it. We defined what does the word definition even mean? Then we started to define our name. We started to define our nature. So I defined master. What does it mean to be a master? What does it mean to perceive? What's the definition of perceive? What's the definition of claiming what's yours? What's the definition of righteousness? Like these words are important to understand for yourself. So when life hits you, you have something to counter it with. And these are mental fitness concepts that you're going to use to help you bridge the gaps when life is hitting you. So we started at that point. Then, so we covered that. And now what I want to get into is that through Levelz of Mastery, I'm going into a new level. All right. I'm not going to start off on as if this is like the first show or the first thing. You guys gotta understand, I've been doing these lives for the last 2 to 3 years. So I'm not gonna start off like this is that. I'm gonna start off where I'm at with everything. So I'm gonna start interviewing or bringing people on the show and having 2 people on the show as like split. I'm gonna speak and then you guys gonna see me on as a dynamic of social dynamics of doing this at the level that I know how to do it, and using that as experience to master it. Why am I doing that? Because that's a challenge for me to exercise my communication. I'm always stacking it. Like, you know, what's that game? Jumba or Jumba, whatever, when you guys stack the sticks or whatever. I don't know. Jenga, that thing. And that's the one that you gotta pull the slots out. But like if you was like building cards, I'm that motherfucker where it's like, all right, just one more card. Let's just put one more card on top. All right, fuck it. Let's just put another one on there. I didn't break it. Just put another one on there. Like, I'm going to keep stacking my chips until that bitch falls. And when it falls, I'm going to find out what the fuck made it fall, because I have the intelligence to keep that bitch still, to keep that bitch solid. I know that. Like, what makes me less than any other man that had an idea and solidified it? Nothing, actually. Nothing. Nothing at all, actually. What are you talking about? And I'm really ready to challenge the world on that sense. Like, I'm ready to die for that, actually. And the moment I was ready to die for that was the moment I began to live, because now my soul can go in the proper way. It can be channeled properly. I'm not dying over some shit I don't really want to do. I'm living through what I really want to live through. And this is the core of Master Pyro, is that I found my reason I'm willing to die for. So I could begin to live, like, truly, man, like, seriously. Because I became aware that when I walk out my door, I am an experience. When people talk to me at the register, when they see my avatar and I walk into the building, I'm very aware that I am an experience. So I don't hold myself lightly at that at all. And from that, I'm able to extract experiences that other people that's not on that awareness level or on that level of mastery cannot obtain. So my job is to continuously share that through the teachings that I've been able to get through my mentor, Arastapar Dibazar. Bottom line. So I'm going to continue doing that. And just to give, I guess I could say that for another day. But today was really about just defining shit. Like, let's clearly define some shit in our, like, what is this thing? What is this name? What is this word? What is this language I'm using? Well, which one do I really want to use? Which one is full of power? Make sure whatever words that you use have something called redeemable value, meaning you get something in return. It's not empty. It's not hollow. Every word out of my fucking mouth has a redeemable value. I don't use nothing that doesn't double back in multitude for me. If I find it, I get rid of it. I don't say I'm going to try to do something. I don't say if it's going to happen. The only time I use if is when it's in this first level of conception of building the idea. Well, if I do this or if I do that, if that's totally fine. But the moment I make the decision, it's when it's going to happen now. It's only a matter of time now. It's not if anymore. And you have to make that distinction. You got to make that line in your mind of like, okay, when the timeline is moving of manifestation or creation, at some point you can't use the same language anymore. You're confining that creation to a chain because it's not in that phase anymore. It's like turning gas into liquid and then liquid into solid and like water into ice. It's like holding on to an element because for whatever reason, and it doesn't fall through. It just takes that one element to now make it transition. It's the same thing with the concept of your idea, the words that you use, which I see as the water is like the first foundation, and then it starts to vibrate around you and starts to solidify. It takes time, but it takes practice and patience within yourself. And to have that, you have to have accountability. You have to be within a tribe of individuals that is willing to keep you accountable, not to lessen you, but to rise you up when you fall, when you stumble, when you trip and fall over yourself. This is a fucking, what's the word? This is the shadow world. Like, this is, we're inside traveling internally, going through shit. We're going to trip over shit that we haven't been aware of yet. And when that happens, we need brothers that's around us to help us. Because what else is going to happen? You know, man, give me a break. This world out here is trash. Straight up trash. This power of this live stream is going to shift so many lives. I'm just very blessed and grateful to be a part of it. 100%. Because I know I have a big piece to share. I know my life is an example of what I speak about, and I look forward to it. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out. Real quick before I close it out, I have my brother Star of Truth that just tapped in with us. Salute to you, brother. Najim, I appreciate you for joining. That's another IMC Nation brother. Lots of respect for this man. We was out there really getting it out the mud out there in San Jose. He's seen a big part of me and my transition and where I had to go through. And once again, it's the experience of it. So salute to you, brother, because he's one of the brothers that I'm talking about, right? That I've been able to have that. And I also will be featured on his live show this coming Friday. So I'll be on his live show this coming Friday. I get a chance to chop it up with him and share whatever insights he wants me to share on. And I look forward towards that. You know what I'm saying? Peace and light to all my brothers out there. Y'all know the fucking vibes when it comes to Master Pyro. I appreciate everybody for tapping in with me on Levels of Mastery. This is level 1 on Levels of Mastery. Every single Tuesday will be another level, and you'll start seeing on a number, level 2, level 3. At some point, we'll be at level 100, and they still got to come back to this level 1, to understand what does it mean to define shit. And that's what we did today. Next week, we'll get into the next point. This is IMC Nation Master Power tapping in.